There we go. Hello, everyone. Time, time for some fun, I guess. So we're back with GBM. We're yeah. I can't remember. Is this week a standard or is this a fake standard? Like, what's going on anymore? I've completely lost track of what's even happening in the game anymore. Because I swear, like every time. Let's see. Yeah. So it's another 7-star week. We're at, I think, 9 in a row now. We're at a disgustingly high number. It never ends. It never ends. Okay. Well, let's get cracking on the new stuff, eh? So as always, we'll check out the welfare, then we'll take a look at the event shop, we'll take a look at the gacha, and we'll take a look at the Twitter stuff, alterations, and then wrap it all up. Wow, I actually pulled a perfect big chip on my first grab too. Huh. So good. Okay, so let's take a look at the Jade Devices Revival and his Gadessa. Come on. Oh yeah, right, I have to open it. Don't mind me. Perfect. So, let's get cracking on this sucker, I guess. Okay. Long shooter job. Projectile speed boosted by 14%. So it's really easy to find a long shooter. We have so many. So many. But the projectile speed is very much not that useful. I think the only projectile that'll actually benefit from the projectile speed boost is actually bazookas, because they have the worst, like they travel diagonally down to blow up on the ground. Enemies really can dodge them quite simply. The projectile speed, I think, would help a lot. Outside of that, I don't really see it being very useful. And even in that scenario, I don't see it very useful because you typically don't attack with neutrals. So. Now. Statistically, it's actually not that bad. So, shot, it's actually sitting at about 3,600 or so, which is really good for a welfare. Really, really good. And it has just a little more than token melee on the head. We're almost at 1,000 melee attack on the head for this. So overall, offensively statted, it's not bad. For a welfare, it's actually in the higher brackets for its primary stat. So dope, good stuff. Long range and high firepower word tags. Both of these are very nice tertiary tags to have. High firepower, more specifically so. It's used to activate a lot of different abilities, traits specifically. So that's nice to have, and it does work on melee and shot. So it's kind of a double whammy. Tertiary. Long range is also a really nice tertiary for shot. It's not, I guess, not ideal at the end of the day because it only activates so many traits, not that many. And it's not the most common tag among decent parts, but nice to see. Okay. Overall, the noggin is pretty good. It's really got me thinking. All right, let's take a look at the torso. When attacking with beam, really easy to do, shooting crit rate boosted by 17%. Crit rate is garbage. I'm not even going to look at that a second longer. You know. Stat-wise, okay, so we're looking at about 1,500 or so shot attack on this. We're looking at about... It's actually kind of sad melee-wise. It's like 800. So, in terms of offensive stats, this torso has pre-Super Sokai numbers. It's sitting at below 1,000. For shot, it's sitting really high up at about 1,500, 1,550 or so. That's obviously not the best we've had for torso offensive stats, but it's pretty damn good. So remember, torsos tend to be sitting, before Super Sokais, they used to be sitting around 800 to 1,000 on welfares, and then on the Sokai suits, they were sitting at about anywhere between 1,600 to 2,100 in that bracket range. The really good ones were like 22, 23. But now, post Super Sokai, almost all Sokai suits are pushing that 2K boundary. So seeing this at 1,500, that's pretty damn good, all things considered. So yeah, good stuff. Long range high firepower tags, already talked about those. So really, this is a nice part minus the trait. Much like the head was a nice part minus the trait. All right. Just what I love to see on my shot suits is a physical melee EX. Anyways, create a GN field on the surface of the fins and attack. Lowers enemy hit gun plus shot defense by 14%. The shot defense decrease might be useful in very specific setups and scenarios, but overall, not really going to be bringing the bacon home. As for the cooldown, really short cooldown, so this is something you can spam, but as it has D power, makes it completely fucking worthless to begin with. So, yeah. Stat-wise. Okay. So we're looking at about 2,900 or so melee attack, which for a welfare is pretty good. Even though this is more primarily a shot suit, the melee attack on these arms does actually approach really decent for a welfare. So that's good. Actually, it's pretty damn good for a welfare. It outclasses most of the pre-Super Sokai welfares, and it does really well when compared to newer ones. So cool beans. As for shot, it's actually relatively okay. We're looking at what? That's 4 change 5. About 1,600 shot attack on the arms. Considering standard 4-star parts before Super Sokais, you would be really lucky to see them push, 1,200, 1,300 shot. Because remember how long the Wing Gundam arms were considered, relatively decent for shot if you didn't have any really good traits or EX to go in there, due purely to the fact it had like 1,100 shot attack on them, right? So we have this. Good stuff. It's got the numbers. Again, for a welfare. Long range, high firepower, useful. I've already talked about those, so I'm not going to keep going with it. If welfare stats much higher rarity suits, will actually have higher stats because it gets an extra marks. Yeah, for sure. Thing is, you got to remember, I'm saying that it's matching the 4-star parts from before Super Sokai. Post Super Sokai, that threshold bumped up, and the welfares were also brought up as well. This sits in that like nice middle-ish high bracket of the newer welfares, right? So if you did get all the marks and stuff statted out, it would definitely push up really, really high, and it would completely eclipse that older bracket of 4 stars we had before the Super Sokai line came out and power creep really kicked in. But if you compare it to the stuff that came afterwards, it's still kind of relatively in that welfare range. Thanks, Striker. I was actually going to check the shop once I was done everything to pick up my copies and call it a day, because I have enough to max her. So can you guess what I'm doing? All right. Legs. The GN Mega Launcher. Hey, look at that. B power. Deploy your weapon barrel and shoot high compressed particle beams. Cool. Okay, I find this interesting. It has a medium cooldown. 15 seconds basic, 60 afterwards. That's really, really interesting. For a B power, D pierce skill on a welfare to have that kind of cooldown, it's cool. I'd have to see the animation in action. On paper, it doesn't sound that bad. It is a beam shot, but again, purely boils down to what the actual skill does. But B power, it looks like a... So normally, when there's a skill on a welfare that's like B power, low cooldowns, I call it a pocket rocket, because that's exactly what it is. Something you can just quickly snap out, fire, and call it a day. With this one having the much higher initial cooldown, It's like a very slow pocket rocket, I think is the way to put this skill. It's still relatively quick, still, something you can pop out, in a match, but it doesn't have that 3-second initial cooldown that we normally see on welfare skills. So it's a Jirobi? Yeah. Okay. Like, it's not bad. It's just like not something I normally see on a welfare. Okay. Now, this one. Okay, so we've done away with the high firepower word tag, I see, and we've brought in 4 space. I don't like that trade. That is arguably the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals. I don't like the 4-liner tags. I still don't think they're very great, but there are some very niche uses for them in activating certain traits. However, honestly, against high firepower, what are you doing? Numerically, okay, so we're looking at about 1400 melee attack, probably on the higher end there. For a pair of legs, pretty good. Remember, legs in the backpack, always the lowest defensive stats of the entire frame. Big brain time. So it having that, good numbers, good stuff. As for shot, we're looking a little healthier, but not much. We're looking at about 1600 or so. Not bad, not great, not bad for a welfare act. Sitting again in that high middle bracket, so good on you. Those are some fine legs. Not the best legs we've ever seen, but fine legs nonetheless. Now, backpack. While long range, shooting power boosted by 25%. There you go. Nice. Super easy, to the point. It asks you to equip a good shot tertiary tag to activate it. Cool. And now, of course, when you look at 4-star parts and Sokais, their multipliers are going to be 30%, if not higher. That's because this is a welfare. This is super easy to max out, costs you almost nothing to do, just a little bit of time. So 25% is better than the base whatever percent from those. I think it's like a little over 20 or something on the 40% mod, and I think it's like 17% on the 30% mods. So anyways, nice. Statistically, okay, so we're looking at about 700 or so melee attack, more like high 600s, like 680 or so, around there, but pretty good, for a backpack. That's for a shot machine. It's not really that great. As for shot, okay, looking at about 1600 or so shot attack on that. Aces. Typically for a welfare backpack and legs, seeing 1200 is already considered really, really good. Again, lowest defensive stats of the entire frame. Seeing this push far beyond that and really specialize in the shot and just kind of yeet melee out the window. Nice to see. Overall, nice stats. Very healthy spread in the defense pools as well, which I think is the big thing to really take home from this. This has a lot of numbers in the defensive categories, not just defensive. And a interesting spread on the frame of word tags. You got your long range, you have your high firepower, and you have 4 space. Not so much a fan of the last one, but the first 2, no real complaints in my book. And the trait on this part's also really nice. Might want something strong to drink. Oh, yeah, what did you think I'm drinking? Did you think this was some kind of juice? Nah, boy. You can't really see the text. It's vodka. It's straight vodka. I'm committed to this. I already know what's happening with these Sokais, man. You think I don't? You think I'm some kind of new kid on the block? Nah, man. Okay. So, moving along to the weapons. When operated on auto, non-EX skill power boosted by 30%. Really not that useful. That boils down to your autos and stuff. Not really. Okay. If you're like a brand new player, you're not able to get your stuff up to 5-star yet. You're not able to, alternate or anything. Okay. You're probably still going to be using your autos and stuff to do the big damage. But once you've passed a certain threshold, matches boil down to magazine skills, yeet skills, and cutscene skills, and you're done. Really falls off hard at that point. Statistically, 30... Oh, okay. So this has a healthy amount of melee attack on it. And effectively just melee attack on it. The sword gives you a rather healthy amount of armor for what it is, over 1,000. Gives you almost 3,700 melee attack, which is definitely scraping the top for the best welfare offensive statted weapons we've seen. So that's really, really cool. And then it has like some beam resist that just kind of kicks down there and goes, hey, I'm relevant. It's an interesting beam saber. Not my first choice of stat distribution, but here we are. All right. Long range force space tags again. We already talked about those, so I'll just move on. You know it's Tuesday when Santa's drinking. No, that's how you know it's 5 p.m. somewhere. Words to take to heart. GN Mega Launcher. All right, so here we go again. Another what looks like Jirobi with 15 seconds initial, 60 base, fire beam. Almost 4,000 shot attack on this. That's really good. I'm pretty sure that is actually the highest we've seen, so that's dope. Has a little bit of armor, 544, and then a little bit of beam resist, just under 400, with long range and high firepower word tags. This, I'm looking at it, kind of comes off as like the holy grail weapon for welfare shot. It has an extremely high shot attack on it for a welfare, like frankly, almost 4K, it's nuts. But it also has a B power EX skill that sounds on paper pretty good. You fire beams. Long range high firepower tags will help you out. High firepower on both melee and shot, but in general, this is obviously keyed more towards a shot machine. Overall, for a welfare gun, it's pretty good. All right. And Revive Revival. Let's take a look. What do you got for us, you chump? Long shooter job license. When attacking with beam, long shot attack raised by 14%. Ooh, didn't mean to hit the mic. Do keep in mind, when it says long shot attack raise, it's referring to the distance between you and your target. That's effectively it. So, if I am yay far from a unit, my reticle will be a certain... Long and short. Depending on your distance from your enemy, your reticle changes. Each type of weapon gets a damage bonus based on the range you're at. SMGs close range, beam rifles, medium range, sniper rifles, long range, blah, 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 blah. This is boosting when you are a far distance from your target, your neutral attack damage by 14%. Very limited application. Really only going to get the biggest benefit from this when using a rifle type weapon. And it has to be beam. Honestly, I don't think it's worth it. It is a welfare pilot though, so we weren't expecting something crazy like all power plus 30%. That would be too much. All right, so I see a bunch of stuff in the chat. I'll answer it in a sec. Let me just finish looking at Revive. I'll take a look and catch up to chat, okay? So, shot attack. So we're looking at about 2,200 shot attack on a welfare pilot. That's good. Cool beans. Doesn't hold a candle to the newer 4-star pilots we have in our big ticket selector pools and stuff, but as a generic general use welfare pilot that brand new players can pick up, good numbers. Long range and force space tags. Long range useful, force space not so much. Overall, pretty okay for a welfare pilot. It's pretty okay. The trait could, leaves me a little wanting, but what do you expect from a welfare? Oh yeah, no, you guys, the new, when I was talking before about, the different kind of brackets for where stats were, we used to have our 3 stars and then our 4 stars and our Sokais were way up here. With this power shift, right, everything is kind of shifted up now. where our 3 stars are kind of eating into where the old 4 stars were. So the lower end of the 4-star trees that weren't absolutely ridiculous, you know, like the flat 600 stats across the board kind of 4-star crap, right? But like the medium lower end, like they're okay pilots kind of thing, right? That's where our new welfare pilots are really starting to bite into. That's kind of what's happening with this power creep and the bracket shifting. So anyways, time to answer some of those questions. I see someone asking question, but no actual question, so I'll get back to that in a sec. Have you built that Gunpla yet? No. So the plan for that, I was originally supposed to get a cabinet. And it was supposed to go, oh, not a cabinet. So you see where that box is in the corner over here, yeah? So that was originally supposed to have a bookshelf, and in there was going to be a bunch of games, some computer disks, and it was kind of going to be like a general storage unit. It was going to clean up that entire front unit that's currently a absolute friggin' rat's nest of stuff, right? Okay. And then beside me, which I can't really turn the camera to easily, on this side of my desk, I was going to have a model display case. And in there, that's where I was going to put all the models that are currently in front of the TV, as well as the Gundam when I finish building it. But because some stuff happened, I haven't been able to get those in. So because of that, I don't have anywhere to put the Gundam. If I build it, I'd be more than happy to do that. We have a nice little table in the front room I could use to build. I would just have to do a little setup out there so that I could record and stream it. Probably have to find a laptop I could. Anyways, I did all that and I finished building it. I do not have anywhere I can put it. And that's a huge problem. We don't currently have a lot of desk space for stuff. So just like, it's just the way it happened. There's really not much I can do about that. I've been thinking about clearing out like the upper racks above our washer and dryer to put it in there as temporary, but those are kind of packed with stuff, so it's not really the anyways, long and short, it's just a space issue right now. The space issue was supposed to be resolved before winter hit, didn't, so I haven't been able to build it because I don't have anywhere to put the finished product, and the last thing I want to do is build it and then just leave it on the table or something, because it's going to die in like a week if I do that or less. Not much doing on that front, so hopefully that covers it. Question. Oh, there's your question. What are 3 suits you'd like to appear for the mobile armor boss battles? Destroy Gundam. Like, not even a question. I 100% want that. Considering it's classified as a mobile armor, the Regenerate Gundam would be really, really cool to see as well. Because that can be one of those, like, much like the Destroy Gundam, more of a specialized fight. And I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick here, because there is one more mobile armor that I remember, and I just cannot. I know the shape, I remember the art style, I just can't remember the name. Damn. Hold on. No, that wasn't it. Oh my lord. Why am I having such difficulty remembering it now? I don't even remember the series name that it was from. What's wrong with me? This shouldn't be this difficult. Holy crap. Oh man. Damn. I can't even remember the series name. That's the other problem with this, is I remember the art style. It's one of the older art styles, and I just can't remember the series name. I can't remember the name of the suit, and I can't even remember the information of the pilot. I should be able to. I only saw this like last year, but my brain is completely blanking on the information, and it's driving me nuts because it shouldn't be this difficult to remember, because it was a rather important fight between the MC and the suit. I don't get it. Why is this so difficult? Jesus. Do you know? Fuck. I'm currently digging through like all the mobile armors that are on the wiki, because one of them will click. One of them I'll look at and go, oh yeah, that was it. And that would be why I wasn't able to find it. It's because I was looking under mobile armor. It's classified as a mobile fortress. The Matabiri from Zeta. That's the other one. I've always been a huge fan of like the oversized laser cannon shtick, and that thing is literally front and center, a massive cannon. I just loved it, and I honestly think it'd be a neat fight. But yeah, no, 100% destroy would be number one. Like that's not even debatable. The regenerate would be really cool as well, because I think it could have some really cool mechanics with if you take too long or you miss triggers or something, it can repair itself and make the fight last longer. It's a punishment mechanic, right? And then we just have this giant flying mobile fortress that's just literally a massive HP sink. Give people a reason to have, 700,000 damage per hit kind of thing. Oh, good. Okay. Back to where I left off. And clearly have the dev ears as the welfare weapons are starting to see power creep. Honestly, I think that was an inevitability. If they left the welfare stats where they used to be before, and they just kept increasing the gacha suit stats, it would have just looked bad. Man, brand new players that join would effectively be forced at gunpoint to get the gacha suits, because why wouldn't you when a single part of a gacha suit equals like the entire welfare frame stats, right? So they had to bring up the welfare stuff as well. Can we talk about how his name is Revive Revival but zero revive trait? Yeah, we absolutely can talk about that. Honestly, I think it's a good thing. That trait needs to go away. Both Psycho Gundams at once. You nutter. All right. So, back to this. Let's focus. All right, so device B, what do we got? Close combat. Well, as you can see, I definitely need some more close combat chips. I hadn't realized I'd run out again. Zaku type, Ace exclusive, amphibious, and 4 urban. Okay. Okay. Neat. And what are our fragments for this week? We have Power Gundam. That's the one that can go big, is it not? The F90S type. Okay. And the Shadow Gundam. I'm pretty sure the Shadow Gundam has mobile fighter on it, which makes its value very high. Yes. So if you're not sure about which of these suits to get, or there's no suit here in particular that really screams out to you, I 100% recommend picking up the Shadow Gundam. Just because the mobile fighter tag is a very rare tag, all things considered. I think we have less than 12 suits in the game that have access to this tag. And because of that, every single part you can get for it, very, very useful. So, something to bounce around. Okay. So, with that out of the way, Oh yeah, we got Judao, eh? He came back. Nice. Okay. So we've looked at the event stuff. Gacha's next. Let's go. Isn't that Judao new? Let me double check. I'm pretty sure that this Judao is a repeat. Because he looks really familiar. I might be thinking of another build project pilot, though, that just looks similar. He's new? Okay. So my brain is just mismatching. And that's fine. Who honestly expects me to keep all this stuff, like, straight anymore? How many parts do we have in this game? Like, individual, unique parts and pilots and stuff. Anyone that goes, oh, you should remember all of it, I'll beat you. I will beat you. Okay. So, we have the XN00 Riser, and we have the Asteroth Origin, and we have a couple of nice old pilots, too. Okay, so I remember bringing this up last week, where I mentioned about 7 stars and how I would consider starting to actually, review them. Stats. So, what I've decided to do is not. And the core reason for that is all of these 7 stars have their own completely unique stat pool. The 7-star is a hand-tuned stat increase. With it being hand-tuned, there's no pattern to any of this. So yes, I could very easily look at this suit and go, hey, it's got the best stats out of all of them, 10 out of 10. But it doesn't matter, because next week when a new suit comes out, if it has better stats, that's it. There's no other suit that can compare to it. That's it. Simple as that. There's no, oh, well, if, we were this one suit that we got a few months back, if you have it all with, like, the best marks, it actually does better than this because of its stat distribution. That can't exist because they don't get 7-star upgrades. So with that being kind of bouncing around, the only suits that matter for 7-star are other 7-star suits. And for that, you can literally just look at the numbers yourself. There's no specialties to look at or anything. All that really matters with these are the word tags and the Trader EX skill, because the stats are just in a complete vacuum. And I don't like that. I really, really want them to go back and start bringing these old suits up to 7-star. Because this disgusting power creep vacuum they've created with 7 stars has effectively forced everyone that is chasing arena meta to have to constantly roll the best new BIS part for numbers, right? Or traits or whatever. And I get it from their point of view. It definitely makes people roll the gacha. But, like, it is such a burnout week after week after week after week after week after week seeing 7-star tune-up available. Nothing backlogged, and it's just like, what's the point? What's your end game with this? Is your entire purpose now is just straight up 7 stars the way, and only new suits will ever be 7-star, so everyone has to upgrade? Is that your solution to people just stacking old parts that have really good traits? Is to just power creep them with numbers until they can't hold on to those parts anymore? Like, I don't understand where the end goal with this is. I don't understand where they're trying to go. I really hope they add in, like, backfill those numbers, bring older suits up. I actually had a discussion with someone else. I believe it was the other MC. And we were talking about how it would have been really, really, or maybe a Crash Man. It was really, really cool if what they had done was make it so that only welfares could go up to 7 stars and leave these suits as they were at 6. That way, these lower end welfare suits that everyone's been sleeping on get that huge extra stat boost from the 7-star and an extra mark, which could have actually bridged that gap for them being not that great. Imagine that. Another huge stat boost plus another mark boost, right? That would have done wonders. Would have made all of these welfares suddenly revitalized, worth a ton more. Instead, it's just these new Sokais and welfares week after week after week after week after week. Is what it is, though. Yeah. So I just don't see much of a point in reviewing the 7 stars because they're just their own complete bracket, way out there. It doesn't matter unless you're chasing meta. I just don't see a point. Is pretty much what I'm getting at. I don't see much of a point in reviewing the 7-star stats because we know they're better than everything else that's been released that's not 7-star, and they're in their own vacuum. With that, I just don't see a point. Is pretty much it. Like back when 6 stars had originally released and we had very little information on the numbers, I didn't see much point because very few people had access to them at the time. Like very, very few people had access to them. And by the time that we started getting more open access to 6-starring stuff, we had so many options available that at that point it was then worth it to kind of go forward looking at it. But with this, it's just such a limited small pool. It just doesn't fucking matter. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking about it. I'm gonna move on to the pilots, but just so you guys know, until they start backfilling older suits with 7 stars, I'm just never gonna look at the stats for them because it's not worth it. All right, let's see what our pilots got. We got a Yeehaw Cowboy and Gruff McGee. So what's up with you? Barnes Gernsback. Defender. That's some interesting stat distribution, actually. So, melee-wise, we're looking at about 2,000 or so melee attack. Not terrible for a 3-star. Shot attack, we're looking at about 1,600. Yeah, sure. Heavy armor, 4 space tags, workable tertiary with heavy armor. 4 space, not so much. I've already talked about how I feel about that. And the trait, while heavy armor, 14% chance for guts. 14% is so negligible, there's just no point. What's that about featured parts on the banner? I'll take a look in a sec, because I saw that too and I wasn't quite sure. And Yazan Gable from Double Z. Ye old hobo cowboy. With speed attribute, non-EX skill power boost by 35%. Already talked about this. Ace exclusive 4 space. Alright, Ace exclusive's nice. 4 space, Numerically, he's got a lot of raw offensive power, but his carryover makes him kind of gimped. He's sitting at what, like 2,600 change melee attack and about the same shot? Sure. Okay. Neither of them are really stand-up amazing. Alright, so 4-star higher comes with featured parts. And I'm guessing, as people were saying, that means EX skills. Let's see here. Freebie. Huh. I'm actually kind of interested. Now, what do you mean? Do you even have the information? Okay, so it does just have a featured part that has a higher chance of dropping. Interesting. Okay. Sure. So, let's go take a look at those Twitter videos, if they even have them up. I'm not going to hold my breath. Alright, gang, let's take a look together. Should probably remove my bookmarks. Yeah. Alright, you're not a video. You're not a video. Are you what we're looking for today? Yeah, doggy. Okay. We'll start with ye old 00. Trans Am. Didn't see that coming. Okay. So, okay. Let's take a step back here. So first, we have our bog standard Trans Am Awakening. It's nothing amazing. It's kind of what we all expected from it. Okay. Cool. The second skill is just lift up and swing. I don't have too much complaint about that one. It does seem to stop time, so that's cool. This last one, though. So we open up with a really cool cut. We get the Trans Am activation sign. That's cool. I like where it's going. Okay. You do a little grabby, little preppy, and then you dash at them. And then you smack them. You smack them. You smack them. You smack them. Okay. So, let's see. How long does this animation take from start to finish? You guys, unfortunately, can't see the numbers for the timer. So, he starts this skill at 4:34 was his start time for that, okay? 4:34. And we wait. And we wait. And we wait. And we wait. 4:22 is when you get control. That cutscene takes 12 whopping seconds. Is it worth it? Personally, I don't think so. I find that it's a little too much. I find that there's too much time spent in between doing stuff. But if you like the animation, sure. Just be aware it is 12 seconds of time that you are using for that EX skill. It's flashy, but it's up to each player whether or not they think it's worth it. Alright, let's take a look at ye old Asteroth. Legs? I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Arms. Really? So you have this flourish. You swing it out. You prep it. It glows. Your jets go. You dash. You hit them. One swing. Two swing. And you put it away. The fuck was that? They really did spend their whole budget on the other suit. Oh, is it 3 swings? I'm only seeing 2 here. Maybe I'm just blind. Let's see. Ah, yeah, okay. There's the first swing right at the beginning. 1, 2, 3. Whoop-de-doo. The one saving grace to this skill. The one saving grace is... We'll see it when we get to the alterations, but it is a low cooldown S-Power skill. That's the one big benefit to this. Okay. So, that in mind, let's take a look at Asteroth Origin. Okay. While Pro Tag, melee power boosted by 40%. Really easy to get Pro Tag. Good boost. And when shot defense is over 15,000, EX skill power boosted. Okay. Both of these are very easily attainable. And I'm very much a fan of that symbiosis there, where you get the melee power boost and the EX skill power boost. Not all of your eggs in one basket. It gives you a healthy split. Cool stuff. Alright. Pro tag, close combat tags. Nothing to complain about there either. Alright. I need to close these. Because, oh my god, I can't stop. They're too good. Good lord. Okay. That's some good head. Don't double back on it now? What do you mean? So, here's the thing, right? Is there's a time and a place for fast and slow animations. When you have the de facto skill of a suit be super quick and not very flashy, it's kind of not great. When you have the signature skill of a suit extremely long and extremely flashy, that's really do you care about the timing? If you do, okay, probably not a good part. But if you don't care, that's pretty dope. If you have the signature skill of your suit, it's okay. It's like the cheap, fast, and high quality triangle. Pick two. It's the same here, right? You're gonna have either high quality and fast. You're gonna have fast and weak, right? All these like different pulls around. And pretty much my biggest complaint with it, like with the Asteroth Origin, it's a super quick S power, low cooldown skill. On paper, beautiful. Fire this off like nobody's business. Problem is, it's a signature skill of the suit, and it looks so bad, I could mistake it for a launch EX skill. It's kind of my complaint. Whereas on the other hand, I look at the new 00 Riser. Its signature skill, super big, super flashy, super long. Does that make it inherently bad? Only if you care about timing. Otherwise, meh. And it's still decently powerful. My biggest complaint is purely in that your signature skill should be a signature skill. Yeah, I don't care if you have like 6 skills on an EX suit and one of them is bad. It's when all of them are bad, or all of them are long, or all of them are short and weak. D-power crap. So it's a balance in all things. Right? Like my complaint with the XN Riser's EX skill isn't that it's long. I don't care. To me, that's fine. It's just like all the budget went into it clearly, and I feel like there's too much downtime in between what it's doing. That's my major complaint, is you have this long cutscene skill where almost half of the time is spent watching parts move around, or you're switching your weapons or combining them, which in the context of the suit is fine. That's kind of its thing. But from the perspective of someone that doesn't really care a bunch about the lore of the suit and just looks at it and goes, hey, that's a cool looking mech, it seems like a lot of downtime that could have been cut out. And you could have had, instead of a 12-second cutscene, like a 6, 7, 8-second cutscene that achieved the same goals, maybe slicing out a few of those little animation tweaks. But for the people that love that suit and really enjoy those kind of things, it's right up your alley. Right? Much like if I saw a skill from the Strike Freedom where it busts out the Dragoons on its backpack, they surround the enemy and they start blasting from all the sides, followed by, a full, laser bath from the Strike Freedom, I would think that's really cool. A bunch of people look at it and go, why does it need that Dragoon opener? That's like, it just takes so long to do. Why did it, cut around and do all these? It didn't need to do that. I get that aspect of it, but it's really like, it's literally just, I saw the Riser's EX skill first. Oh, this is flashy. This is really cool. Look at it do all this stuff. A little long for my taste, but cool. And then look at the Asteroth Origin, and it's just unga bunga done. The fuck? Yeah, like, that's the thing. So the Asteroth Origin pulls out its sword. It holds it. It gets a nice red glow to it. It starts swinging away. If maybe the camera angles were done a little better, kind of show off those cuts. Maybe if the final cut was a little more... Actually, there you go. So let me pull it up real quick here so I can actually make a point, right? So you do your skill, you pull it out, sword glows, you dash, okay? You're hit, 2, 3. So, on that last swing, instead of it immediately doing damage, right? Why not do it bisect style, where as the sword clangs into the holster, or the, I guess, sheath, that's when the big explosion happens, and that's where the damage ticks in. Sure, it's cheesy, it's overplayed, it's, who cares, right? But even that would have added more cinematic impact than whatever the hell this is. That's my major complaint with this. There's just no flashy to it for it being the signature skill. They have this 7-star Sokai suit that I have no doubt there's a bunch of fans of somewhere in some dark corner of the Gundam fandom, and all they get is this super quick, arguably very lame 3-hit combo. And, you know, and then you look at like the Wing Zero custom that I rolled that has like the full colony explosion going on. Like, it's just such... it's all over the place. All right. Anyways, I feel like I've talked enough about that. Let's continue. So I've looked at the head. The head is pretty good. Look at the torso. Aesthetically, I will say I appreciate the Asteroth Origin. I find that aesthetically, it is quite interesting looking. Quite interesting looking. Okay. There. Weapon reload speed down 20%, melee power boost by 40% while close combat, EX skill cooldown reduced by 23%. That's a relatively nasty combo. 23% EX skill cooldown reduction, that is the current highest mod we have available, and all you need is close combat. That works on melee suits very, very well, so nice. Weapon reload speed down 20%. That refers to your ranged weapon slot. As you are a melee machine, you have literally no use for this, other than for stats, traits, tags. And when I say stats, I mean like melee stats. Who cares about having shot on a melee machine? And you get a melee power boost. That's great. That's very, very nice. The demerits are the one activation trigger is very easy to meet the requirements for, and the one demerit isn't really a demerit on the suit it's designed for. Arms. Wait, okay, that's my charge cable. I was moving my feet and I suddenly felt the cable, and I was wondering if something came loose. All right. Yeah. Like, I understand that Bandai has to pick certain suits to get really flashy EX skills and some don't, just because of development time and how quickly they pump out these suits. If they delayed it so that every other week we got new suits, they could probably have very high quality EX skills on everything. However, that would also mean that every new banner is a Sokai limited. So you kind of got to take your lumps, I think is the best way to put it. So, all right, the arms, the nano laminate sword. Lightwood laminate. D Pierce S power. Like I said, low cooldown, 6 seconds initial, 21 seconds base. You attack enemies with your sword, and you resist flinching for a set amount of time, and it's a debuff clear. That's actually, I think, unique, is it not? It erases debuff effects on your Gunpla. I think this is the first time we've seen that pop up. That's really cool. Very unique. I'm very much a fan of that. Cool beans. Pro tag, close combat, workable, very workable tags. No complaints there. It doesn't have bindable. No, apparently not. So, what I saw during that animation where it was doing its 3-hit combo, it seems to be a lot like the Shining Finger, in that you hit them and you do a cutscene with them kind of locked into it, but from my understanding, they can be knocked out of it, just like you can be knocked out of the animation as well, but it's not bindable, apparently. Anyhow, moving on. Good stuff, arms. Good stuff. Hey, look at that! Sledgehammer! Pulverize the enemy with your hammer. If I remember correctly, that was the one I looked at and said, no thanks, Chief. Let me double check here. Yeah, that was the one I didn't like very much because it looked very easy to dodge and or interrupt. A minus, A minus, low cooldown, on paper, really, really nice. Animation makes me say not so much. Mileage may vary, use it if you want to. It at least will hit like a small truck. No, A minus, A minus is not a first on this part. We've seen it before. It's just very rare. All right. Protag high firepower again. No complaints. Backpack. When beam resistance is over 5,000, EX skill piercing boosted by 28%. Beam resistance, pretty easy to get over 5k. EX skill piercing is effectively how much of your enemy's defense and resistances you ignore when you're making, doing damage calculations. As we don't have a formula for this, the 28% really doesn't mean too much, but it is something that if you had, for example, something that had S power and D pierce, this would help you do significantly more damage, as your D pierce would get a rather healthy boost. Wink wink, nudge nudge. While Protag, EX skill power boosted by 35%. So this is kind of one of those scenarios where independently, I'm not a fan of the first trait. EX skill piercing is, to me, not terribly amazing. The second trait, independently, is rather amazing. Protag, very easy to meet the requirements of, as it's most likely going to be existent on every melee suit in the game, and you get a 35% EX skill power boost. But together, I think this actually makes a rather healthy part, as you're getting an EX skill power boost as well as a piercing boost. If I were to put it kind of quantified, this is almost like seeing your skill get a full letter rank up in both categories. So an S would become maybe a double S, and a D would become perhaps a C, maybe even a C plus, who knows, because we don't have any calculations for this stuff. But that's kind of the way I picture this. So that's a very, very nice boost. Okay, Protag high firepower again. Cool beans. Let's check out the Nano Laminate Sword. Infighter job melee power boosted by 30%. All right, Infighter, extremely easy to get your hands on, and you get a 30% melee power boost. Beefy. With technique attribute, very easy to do, melee power boosted by another 35%. So if you have a technique suit and your pilot is Infighter, that is a 65% melee power boost right there. That's horrifying. Protag, close combat word tags. Again, they're very, very easy to put onto a melee suit. You're probably going to have this already. Maybe not close combat, but Protag for sure. So, nice. And statistically, let me guess. 14k? 17k. I got to get used to this new modifier. What are we coming to? All right, let's check out the Tomahawk, or Sledgehammer. When attacking with physical, melee power boosted by 30%, and leg parts EX skill power boosted by 35%. So, attacking with physical, very easy to do. We have a myriad of physical melee weapons in this game. You get a melee power boost, so physical melee makes sense. Leg parts EX skill power boost. It's a healthy boost at 35%. However, the fact that you require it's like locked down to the leg parts does slightly nerf its overall value. Obviously, it'd be better if this was a all EX skill up X%, but is what it is. Because that it is locked to leg parts, that is kind of its demerit. So if you do have a powerful leg EX skill, such as, I don't know, bisect, you would probably have a good time using this, as that counts as both physical and leg. Good stuff. And lastly, the gun, also known as the shotgun. That actually looks like a shotgun too. Ah, diggity damn. Job gauge increased down 10%, EX skill power boosted by 35%, and while high firepower, enemy shooting power reduced by 30%. The first trait, while high firepower, easy to do, enemy shooting power reduced by 30%. That only affects the suit this is equipped onto, so that does limit its scope of usefulness rather hard. Job gauge increased down 10%. This means that your job gauge for your limit break is 10% slower to gain. But to me, that's not really a demerit, as I don't find that the job gauge really does anything useful. I think it'd still be a lot better than it currently is, and you'll get an EX skill power boost for that demerit. The first trait, not really useful. Second trait, pretty useful. It's kind of a 50-50 split on that one. Protag, high firepower tags, it's there. Cool. So overall, the Asteroth Origin, post-alteration, yeah, I would say it's the frame is pretty much like a monosuit solution, and then you kind of want the beam sword. Outside of that, like, it has one good EX skill, one okay EX skill, and the traits are overall okay. Yeah, sure, it's good. The arms have more melee than the weapons. Well, yeah, they're integrated. Of course they're gonna have more stats. You goofball. What? All right. 00 XN Riser. Let's take a look at you, buddy. What are you packing? While high mobility, enemy shooting power reduced by 30%. Okay. So pretty much same thing applies as what I said the last time. This only affects the suit it's equipped onto, so. And weapon reload speed down 10%, EX skill power boost by 35. The second trait is useful for melee suits more than anything, really. You could put this onto a shot suit, as honestly 10% isn't that big of a demerit when you think about it. But if you're looking to have absolutely no demerits at all, you'd want to run this on a melee. Not that that makes much sense, because stat distribution wise, this is probably shot favored quite heavily. So, you know, take your lumps, I guess. You get a 35% EX skill power boost, but that trait lineup isn't what I was expecting from the head of a shot machine. Although, I guess I shouldn't say shot machine. This is technically a melee / hybrid machine, at least to my understanding of the 00. So I guess it should be more apparent in saying this is a pretty good trait for a melee / hybrid. My brain jumped to shot because we just reviewed the Asteroth, which is, and we did the impressions of the Asteroth, which is very clearly a melee suit. Typically we have a melee and a shot, so anyways. Did the arms have time stop? Are you talking the Asteroth Origin arms? Let me check real fast here. No, the Asteroth Origin arms only have time stop for the animation wind up. Once they start dashing, the clock ticks as normal again. So, anyways. So, the rest of the head. High mobility pro tag. Okay. Those are definitely workable tags. Pro tag, obviously, core for melee. High mobility is a workable tertiary. The weapon or the part traits definitely do suit a melee machine. First trait, though, kind of not great, but the second trait's nice for a melee suit. Torso. Trans Am. We already know how this works. Speed up, melee attack up, shot attack up. At least this is the highest modifiers that we've seen effectively. 20% speed, 49% melee, 29% shot. Typically, to see something go up to 49% or higher, it won't also boost shot attack, at least not higher than 19%. So this is quite powerful in that regard. Nice. High mobility pro tag again, already talked about that, so I'll move right along to the arms. With rifle category equipped, melee power boosted by 40%. We got so many rifles, this game might as well be called, you know, fucking Gundam Rifle Emporium. Got so many beam rifles in this game. And you get a melee power boost. So yeah, sure, why not? You're a melee suit, you don't care what goes in your weapon slot anyways. When shot attack is over 15,000, melee power boosted by another 40%. That should be very, very easy to accomplish these days, considering most suits will have 15k shot defense and just carry over alone. And then, you know, you have your beam rifle that just gives you like 6-7k right there anyways once it's fully upgraded. This should be very trivial to actually reach. So you'll get an 80% total melee power boost by having a rifle in your ranged weapon slot and having over 15k shot attack. That's easy to do. That's totally worth it. High mobility close combat, so we get rid of our pro tag and get close combat instead. Close combat. Both of those tags are very powerful tertiaries on melee. You're probably going to want to pick one over the other though, just because you know, you kind of want mobile fighter and pro tag for the 10% and 10%, you know, 20%. It's pretty good. But each to their own. Legs. When armor is 60% or more, job gauge increase boosted by 40%. I've already talked about how I feel about the job gauge, so I'm not going to bore you. Melee damage raised 20%. That means you're going to take 20% more melee damage, and you get a 40% melee power boost. That second trait, I think, is very good. Obviously, you know, you're taking a little more damage, but you're dishing a lot more than what you're taking in extra. That's pretty good stuff. However, the first trait, giving a job gauge increase boost, I don't think is that useful. Mileage may vary. If you're someone that has a completely kitted out job, you know, burst, whatever, and you love it, this will probably be really good for you. High mobility close combat tags, again, already talked about that, so I'll pass right on to the backpack. Trans Am XN Strike. You get a 20% speed boost, 38% maximum armor heal, and a 49% melee attack boost. Double S power at maximum cutscene cooldown. So, it's really hard to say anything negative about this, other than the fact that it has a very long animation, 12 seconds long. Beyond that, you get a very healthy heal, almost 40%. You get a whopping 49% melee attack boost on this, which on top of a heal is crazy good. And it has double S power. Good. I don't think that's the first double S. I'm pretty sure the first double S power EXs came with the Super Sokais. Oh, wait, no. Those were double S minus, weren't they? Okay. Good stuff, though. Good stuff, backpack. While Pro Tag melee power boosted by 30%. Pro Tag, piss easy to get, and you're going to be using a melee suit for that. When buffed, buffs are dime a dozen, super easy to get, don't even worry about it, and you get a 30% buff EX skill effect up, which I think is actually hilarious. So the way that this is effectively working, so you get any buff in the game, anything, it just gets an extra 30% potency just slapped right on top. You get a 49% melee buff? Nah, man, it's 79% now. Deal with it. That's how that works. Good shit. Yeah. Effectively, the way that trait works, like I said, is when you apply a buff, it's literally just setting a plus 30% to every buff you have on the table. So that's really good. These are some good split sabers, honestly. Almost 17k attack, great traits, high mobility and pro tag. Nice. All right, the great sword combined. While high firepower, initial EX skill charge boosted by 20%. Not as good as general EX skill cooldown reduction, but not bad. While high mobility, EX skill power boosted by 35%. Cool. Not as good as the previous weapon, but in a vacuum, pretty good. All things considered. If only that initial EX skill charge was general EX skill cooldown reduction, but, you know, take what you can. Where do you think the suit will hold this weapon? Wherever it goddamn pleases. I'm not about to ask questions to a suit that can swing something like this around. Are you fucking nuts? Although based on grip, it looks like that black slot in the center is the hand grip. Like the lower center area. That seems to be the... Yeah, you can... When it rotates at a certain angle, you can see the slots on either side, so it grabs it in there. As for the second hand, I don't know. Maybe it's big enough for two hands. I don't got it in front of me. Okay. Cool beans. Interesting sword. Not as good as the previous. High mobility, high firepower tags. So definitely not as good as the previous part, but, you know, still okay. All right, the GN Sword 2 combined. Infighter Jaw melee power boosted by 35%. Nice. With power attribute, melee power boosted by another 35%. So if you are power with an Infighter Job, you're chuckling to the bank with 65% extra melee go-go juice. Good stuff. High mobility, high firepower tags again. Okay. GN Sword 3, the Xant Riser. Use a large beam saber form, blah, blah, blah. So this is actually an A power D Pierce EX skill. It's the one we saw where it lifts it up to the sky and does the quick swing down. In terms of distance, what I saw with the Twitter video was it's acceptable distance for what it is. Effectively a pocket rocket skill. The A power makes it nice. And it is very much to the point as a animation goes. So no real complaints on that. On paper and from what Twitter video showed practice, pretty okay. All right. High mobility, close combat tags, workable tertiaries. All right. And lastly, our beam rifle, the GN Sword 3 rifle mode. With power attribute, EX skill power boosted by 30%. Okay. When armor is 50% or more, melee power boosted by 35%. Another one of those cases, a very nice symbiosis, as long as you have a power attributed suit. You're looking at 30% EX skill power boost and 35% melee power boost. Obviously, as long as you don't have more than half your health missing. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. Cool stuff. So, the last two things that we have on our board today, we have the new Judao and we have the Lightning Zeta. So, I did actually plan on doing that Lightning Zeta stream. Let me just pull it up here real quick. Yeah, this. I think it was here. Yeah, it was here. So I had actually created the thumbnail and everything, and I was raring to go. I was ready. And these happened. So that went down the drain pretty quick. So my apologies for anyone that was hoping for a live impression of that suit. I was having the Friday funsies. Can you blame me? All right, so we're going to look at the Lightning now and see what we get. Start from the top. I said start from the top. Yeah, aesthetically, this suit does look pretty dope. All right, so Lightning Zeta Gundam head. Long shooter job, shooting power boosted by 30%. Nice. Tons of long shooters in the game, shooting power boost always nice. While mid-range, shooting power boosted by 35%. Mid-range is a nice tertiary tag on shot machines, one you can get relatively easily, and the 35% shooting power boost on top of the other 30% boost, 65% total. Sure. Wham bam, thank you ma'am, I'll take that to the bank. Gundam type, mid-range tags. Both of these are very powerful tertiaries. Gundam type more so than mid-range. Gundam type does have a myriad more uses, but in this very specific setup of a suit, you do want mid-range for the trait activation. Torso. After 10 seconds pass, EX skill cooldown reduced by 20%, and after 15 seconds pass, EX skill power boost by 35%. In a match or any kind of content where you're taking more than 15 seconds to clear, this is an amazing part. It brings to the table two things you really, really want: cooldown reduction and EX skill power boosting. Great stuff. For any content that does not take 15 seconds to clear, so most content in this game, this is effectively worthless. Like, okay, I guess the EX skill cooldown reduction after 10 seconds is nice on its own, but are you going to get there? It's kind of the question. Gundam type, mid-range again. Cool. The arms, Phoenix Burst. Actually, on that note, I wonder... The Lightning would have had its video up, right? Let's see here. Lightning, 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 lightning. Aha! Look at that. All right, let's take a look at these real quick. Shield. Okay. Was that just like an energy bird? That's exactly what it was. Okay, cool beans. Interesting. Interesting. All right. So, fire a light phoenix made of your shield's mega particle cannon and wing beam sword at enemies. That's what we just saw. A- power, D pierce, low cooldown. Sure. I don't really have too many complaints about this. It is a projectile. It's relatively quick to fire off. Seems to have a rather wide berth of impact, meaning if the enemy does for some reason step a little to the left or the right, you should still hit. Yeah, cool. Gundam type mid-range again, workables. Legs. When attacking with beam, EX skill power boosted by 30%. A beam is really easy to get your hands on, and the EX skill power boost is definitely helpful. So, nice. While Ace exclusive, EX skill power boosted by 35%. You're running a shot machine, extremely high chance you're going to have Ace exclusive, so you're getting a 65% EX skill power boost overall if you're using beam and have Ace exclusive. Very easy requirements to meet here. I don't see much issue with getting the full buff. All right. Gundam type Ace exclusive tags. Sure, I'm in. Crap. Nice. If I had a ton of spare Haro, I might actually even think about rolling for this one. Backpack. Well, Ace exclusive, EX skill power boosted by 40%. Okay. Okay. With technique attribute, EX skill cooldown reduced by 23%. So if you have Ace exclusive and your machine is technique, both of those are very, very easy to meet the requirements for. You're getting an EX skill power boost and the best EX skill cooldown reduction, to phrase it, money can buy. Good stuff. Beam rifle. Melee attack down 20%, shooting power boosted by 40%. So you're going to be doing 20% less melee damage, but you get twice that back as a bonus for shooting power. Sure. Shit. That was worth it. While Gundam type, shooting power boosted by 40%. Okay, cool. Now, obviously, you don't want to run this. I believe it was with the torso that had the mid-range requirement for the other buff, as, well, you know, kind of want to have the two best shot tags and then one tertiary. But, you know, each to their own, whatever floats your boat. Both of these buffs are very good, so as long as you are Gundam type, and yeah, you just need to have Gundam type, you're getting an 80% shooting power boost, which is friggin' hefty. And lastly, the shield. Shield Mega Particle Cannon, A Pierce, B+ power. On paper, that's already looking terrifying. Jirobi, 15 seconds, 60 cooldown. Yeah, cool. And we already saw the animation. It's just a relatively sustained beam of purple goop, and you fire it. Nothing to really complain about there. Other than if you do happen to miss somehow, you are kind of in a vulnerable position, but the animation is also quick enough that probably will be fine. So, yeah, sure. Good. Gundam type Ace exclusive tags. Ooh, excuse me. All three of these suits are actually pretty damn good in their own way. And lastly here is Judao Ashta Civilian Clothes version. Okay. Show us your secrets, Judao. Show us your secrets. While high firepower, all enemy power reduced by 30%. Ooh, that is savage. Nice. With blade category equipped, EX skill power boosted by 35%. That 30% all power reduction is actually kind of fucking terrifying. High firepower is really easy to get, so I like you. You're not jaw-droppingly great, but you're pretty good. No, I'm pretty sure this is the second 30% reduction. Pretty sure, mind you. But overall, you know, he's pretty fucking spooky. Not the best, but pretty good. He does rock a Infighter and Defender job license, giving him a little bit of flexibility. However, Defender, All right, Pro Tag, high firepower, useful tags, and statistically, we're looking at about just under 4,000 melee attack after carryover, and about 850, 900 shot. Both of those numbers are very, very good, and that's pre-marks or anything. So Judao's got the numbers for a melee-centric pilot. He's got a very interesting set of traits. One of them is hands down, you know, good. The other one is situational, 30% all enemy power down, only for the suit this is on. Can be very useful if you somehow get 70 more percent. Yeah, okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. Well, with that out of the way, I believe we are done with all the new content. New pilot, new suits, taking a look at all the alterations, the Twitter videos, the event stuff, the fun stuff. Speak now or forever hold your peace, lads, because once I end this stream, I'm probably just going to sleep, I think. Sorry, 11:30, Jesus. Oh. Yeah. Well, anyways, I'm going to wrap up, guys. Thanks for coming in, tuning in, and hanging out. Hopefully tomorrow's evening EST stream goes a little better than today's. We had some stragglers rolling in near the end. But make sure you do let me know when you hop in, if the timing doesn't work for you. Because I did make these times very centric around my schedule, but if there's a time where if maybe I could stream an hour or two later, that would allow more people to, you know, kind of get there comfortably, I'm more than happy to do that. I just need the feedback. So make sure you do let me know, whether in my Discord or on the streams if you do happen to visit, and I will keep an eye out and try to build my schedule around how many people and when they can join. So, yeah, thanks. Anyways, peace out. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the 6 to 9 stream if you make it. See you there.